The thing sabotaging you isn't laziness. It isn't a lack of discipline. It's the fact that you already told other people about your goal. There's a very specific kind of night. You're not stressed about work. You're not worried about money. Nothing dramatic even happened. And yet, something feels heavy. It just sits there in your head. You start thinking back to earlier this year. Maybe you were out having dinner with friends. Maybe you were grabbing coffee with someone. Maybe it was one of those late-night conversations where you finally said it out loud. This year is going to be different for me. And you meant it. You had a plan. You had reasons. You were fired up. People listened. They nodded. Someone probably looked at you and said, "I believe you. You've got this." And now, a few months later, you still haven't started. Nobody has brought it up since. Because they're busy. Because they forgot. Because they're kind. And somehow, that kindness is exactly what keeps you awake. You don't know how to explain it to them. But worse than that, you don't know how to explain it to yourself. Because you're not lazy. You know that. Better than anyone. So why didn't it happen? And every time you think about it, there's one question you almost never say out loud. Why do I always do this? I'm going to tell you exactly what happened. It wasn't a lack of willpower. It wasn't because you didn't care enough. It was something you did at the very beginning. Something that felt completely normal. Something almost everybody tells you is a good idea. And without you noticing, it killed your momentum before you ever got started. But before I explain that, let me tell you my story first. 3 years ago, I decided I was going to quit my 9-to-5 and go freelance. This wasn't some emotional, impulsive decision. I had been thinking about it for 6 months. I had a spreadsheet, monthly expenses, savings target, minimum income I'd need to survive. I had a timeline too. The first 3 months were for finding clients. The next 3 were for stabilizing. After that, I'd grow. I had read every article I could find, watched every YouTube video, listened to every podcast about freelancing. I had done my homework, or at least, that's what I told myself. And then I did the most natural thing in the world. I told people. I still remember that evening clearly. Same coffee shop, corner table, 4 close friends from college. Our drinks weren't even cold yet. Before I started explaining everything, I walked them through the whole plan. Why I wanted to do it, how I was going to do it, what the timeline looked like. I even pulled out my phone and showed them the spreadsheet. One friend asked what I would charge. Another asked which kind of clients I wanted. One of them looked at me and said, "Dude, you're actually doing this. I thought you were just venting." We talked for almost 2 hours. 2 full hours. Talking about my future, my plan, my next chapter, the life I was about to build. They asked questions. I answered everything. I explained. I analyzed. I got more excited every time I spoke. Honestly, it felt like a presentation, and I was crushing it. Then I drove home that night, and I felt something strange. Not nervous, not scared, not overwhelmed. Just light, satisfied. Like I had already accomplished something. At the time, I thought, oh, this must be confidence. This must be what readiness feels like. But the next week, I did nothing. Not because I was too busy. I had time. I would open my laptop, pull up the document I had made, a very serious 12-page file called 1-2 month roadmap, and then close it again. I'd tell myself, not today, I'm not in the right headspace. The next day, I'd open it again, read through it, close it. I'll start this weekend. I'll have more time. The weekend came. I still did nothing. That became my pattern. Open, close, promise, stall, open, close, promise, stall. No big crisis, No dramatic excuse. No disaster I could point to. I just didn't start. Then, about 2 months later, I met up with the same group of friends again. Nobody brought up the plan. They were all dealing with their own lives. But halfway through the night, one of them turned to me and asked, almost casually, "Hey, how's the freelance thing going?" And I said, "Still getting things together." She nodded, turned back to the conversation. That was it. 5 seconds, maybe less. Nobody judged me. Nobody pushed. Nobody cared nearly as much as I thought they would. But I went quiet for the rest of the night. Not because I was embarrassed in front of them. Honestly, they barely noticed. I went quiet because I was trying to answer a question I couldn't answer. Why? I wasn't lazy. I knew that. I had the plan. I had the savings. I had the time. I had a whole table of people who believed in me. So why was I still standing in the exact same place? That question stayed with me for months. Until one day, I came across a psychology study, and suddenly, everything made sense. There's a psychologist named Peter Gollwitzer who has been studying motivation and behavior for decades, and he found something that changes everything. He split people into 2 groups. Both groups had the same goal. One group announced their goals out loud, in front of other people. The other group kept their goals completely private. Then he tracked what happened next. Who worked harder? Who stayed consistent longer? Who actually followed through? The quiet group won. Every single time. They worked more. They lasted longer. They finished more. The people who got support and encouragement early, they were more likely to quit. Why? Because your brain is constantly tracking progress. The moment you set a goal, it creates a gap, the distance between where you are now and where you want to be. That gap feels uncomfortable, and that discomfort matters. It's what pushes you to act. But then you tell people. They react positively. They encourage you. They treat you like someone who is already becoming that person. And your brain makes a mistake. It starts treating that recognition like real progress. Your brain struggles to tell the difference between, "I actually did the thing," and "people acknowledged me as someone who will do the thing." Emotionally, those 2 experiences can feel almost identical. That's the trap. You get a small hit of satisfaction, a small hit of relief. The tension drops, the discomfort fades, and suddenly, without doing any real work, you feel strangely complete. That's exactly what happened to me. Driving home from that coffee shop, I thought I was feeling confidence. I wasn't. My brain had already collected the reward before I had earned it. And to be clear, this is not your friend's fault. Their support is real. Their encouragement is real. They care about you. The problem is timing. Support before action can quietly become a sedative because your brain hears praise and assumes progress. This is not a character flaw. It's not proof that you're weak. It's not proof that you don't want it badly enough. It's simply your brain doing what brains do, seeking reward, then resting. The problem is you handed it the reward too early. Praise before action isn't always fuel. Sometimes it's a break, wearing the costume of motivation. And when I finally understood that, the question that had been haunting me, "Why do I always do this?" finally had an answer. Not because I was broken, not because I didn't mean what I said, but because I had been triggering the wrong mechanism every single time I opened my mouth before I started. So I decided to try the opposite. I didn't make a new vision board. I didn't buy a new notebook. I didn't rewrite the whole plan from scratch. I changed one thing. This time, I told no one. Not my best friend. Not my family. No Instagram story. No dramatic post about starting a new chapter. No late-night message saying, "I think I'm finally ready." Nothing. I just opened my laptop and did the first step. That was it. And honestly, it felt uncomfortable. Really uncomfortable. Nobody knew what I was doing. Nobody was checking in. Nobody was cheering me on. No instant encouragement waiting at the end of the day. Just me and the work. And there was a part of me, a loud part, that desperately wanted to text someone. Just one message. Hey, I'm doing the thing again. Just to get back one reply. That's amazing. That's all my brain wanted. Now I understand why. It was hunting for the reward the old way. Fast, easy, immediate. It didn't want to wait. But I didn't text anyone. I put my phone face down, and I kept going. By the second week, I noticed something. The tension was still there. That uncomfortable gap, the one that used to disappear after I told everyone my plans, was still open. My brain had not been rewarded yet. It was still waiting, still searching, still wanting the payoff. And that unresolved feeling was exactly what kept me sitting down every evening. Not discipline, not some sudden personality transformation, just a brain that still wanted the reward and hadn't gotten it yet. For the first time in years, I was working consistently, not because I became a better person overnight, but because I had finally stopped fighting the mechanism and started using it. Then 2 months later, I landed my first client. Small project. Nothing huge, but real money from a real client for real work I had actually done. That night, I called one of the friends from the coffee shop, the one who had asked me all those questions about rates and clients, the one who had said, "Dude, you're actually doing this." And I told him, "Hey, I just got my first freelance client." He went quiet for a second. Then he said, "Wait, what? When did you actually start? I thought you were still figuring things out." And I said, "I've been doing it for 2 months." He asked, "Why didn't you say anything?" And I said, "I wanted to be sure first." It was a short call, but the feeling was completely different. From that first night in the coffee shop, that first night felt good, because people believed in me before I had done anything. This time felt good, because I had actually done the work, and the recognition came after. Those two feelings sound similar, but they are not the same. One makes you stop, the other makes you want to keep going. I'm not saying you have to hide everything forever. That's not the point. The point is to protect your momentum until it becomes real. Here are 3 shifts that actually make a difference. First, act first, then share. Not after the final result, just after the first real step. Once you've actually done something concrete, the praise you receive reinforces you. It doesn't drain the tank. It refills it. Second, tell the right person. Don't go to the person who only says, "That's amazing, I love that for you." Find the person who asks, "Okay, what did you actually do this week?" That person is less comfortable to be around, but they're usually far more useful. Third, describe actions, not ambitions. Don't just say, "I'm going to get in shape." Say, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 a.m., 45 minutes. Specific actions create friction in the right place. They make the goal real in your brain, and they make it much harder to fake a sense of progress. Staying quiet isn't about secrecy. It's about keeping the tension alive until you actually need it to move. You know that person in your life, the one you looked at one day and thought, "Wait, when did they do all that?" They didn't announce it. They didn't post every step. They didn't ask for opinions along the way. They just worked, quietly, and then one day, the results spoke for them. You don't need everyone to know what you're building. You just need to build it. And I know there's something in your head right now, something you've been thinking about for a while, something you may have already talked about, something that still hasn't moved. This time, don't tell everyone. Just do the first step. One step. Nobody needs to know yet. And when you've actually done something, when there's something real behind it, then talk about it. Because that moment, when people look at you and say, "Wait, when did you do all that?" That feeling hits very differently from early encouragement. It feels solid, because this time you earned it. Before I go, I want to ask you something. Is there a goal sitting in your head right now? Something you've been thinking about for a while? Maybe you've told people. Maybe you haven't. But you still haven't started. Drop it in the comments. Just one sentence. What's the goal? And when are you taking the first step? Don't post it on your story. Don't text your friends. Just here. I read every single comment, and I genuinely want to know what you're going to do. This time, don't tell anyone. Just go do it.